All right, y'all, today we got no, you do not want to be nonchalant. There's a lot of discourse out in the streets whether women like nonchalant men or they don't. Me personally, I think there's a balance. You know, at the end of the day, I definitely think a girl doesn't like a guy that be doing too much, just too clingy, just like, you know, just always doing the most. But I also think that they can appreciate somebody with some personality and is not like completely closed off. So let's get right into the video and see what it's talking about. And, you know, and I'll give you guys my feedback as well. Make sure you guys tap into the Twitch stream. Where You At Family, the link to that is in the description. That's Where You At Berto.
Where you
Come
at,
on, man.
Berto?
Y'all know where to find me. Let's get right into this.
Where you at, Berto?
I made this shit look sweet.
This is going to be a rant entirely based on the projection of my own issues and internet trends that may or may not encompass the actual opinions of the general public. I'm declaring this now because I already know there's gonna be a bunch of smarty pantses in the comments being like, oh, this is just a big yap section because of your insecurities. Yeah, I know. And then they will still proceed to watch through the video. So if you sit here through the video and you still complain about the video, you're an even bigger fool than I am. With that being said, I don't understand the obsession with being nonchalant. Being nonchalant, chill, cool, apathetic is trendy now. I see so many videos on my Pinterest and on my YouTube about how to be nonchalant or how not to try too hard or how to be effortless. I'm trying to be nonchalant in front of fine she. Everywhere I look, everyone is trying to be nonchalant. And again, maybe this is just internet drama, but that doesn't mean it doesn't reflect the actual opinions of some actual people. So my question is, why? Why does it suddenly become popular to be quiet and reserved and not express emotion? Because I feel like some of you have a completely misconstructed ideal of what a nonchalant person actually is. I don't actually believe that you guys want to be nonchalant or have a nonchalant boyfriend or whatever. Whenever anybody talks about being nonchalant, you normally picture a mysterious, quiet, edgy, cool person like that one character in an anime who's just always salty and always quiet. The guy who doesn't talk to people, gives one-word answers, doesn't really like to smile much or talk to people. Everyone claims they want to be that person or be around a person that's like that because they're cool and mysterious. No, you don't. I don't actually believe that you do. Because I feel like nobody in real life acts particularly in that manner, at least not the super like cool and romanticized version of it. And for the
I ain't gonna lie, I remember back in like middle school, I used to like act like that on purpose. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, on some cringy shit. I remember in middle school, I would make it a point to go sit by myself at lunch. Like I would literally go leave the lunch table that like all my friends were sitting at, and I would go sit at a table by myself and eat my lunch. And funny enough, bro, that shit was method, gang. That shit was method. All the hoes used to leave and come up to me like, oh, Berto, what's going on, man? Why are you sitting alone? I'd be like, you know, I'm just chilling, man, you know, And then they end up sitting down with me, bro, and I'd be like, yeah, man, you know, just chilling type shit. Believe it or not, I don't think I wouldn't do that now. That's so fucking cringe and immature. But like in middle school, that was low-key method, gang.
people who do have characteristics like that, a lot of them probably have severe social anxiety. I speak from experience because I am that person. The really weird thing to me is the quiet, reserved person who doesn't talk to other people and kind of keeps to themselves. They have never really been the person that's portrayed to be the super cool person that everybody wants to be around.
That's true. And I'm also saying this from experience. Now, regardless of me, you know, doing that cringe shit in middle school, like just in general, bro, like I tend not to be the loudest person in the room. Like I tend to just kind of be pretty reserved, you know, like I have an explosive personality, you know, depending on who I'm around and, you know, if we get to that level of comfortability. But if I just walk into a room and I'm full of strangers, like I'm confident, you know what I'm saying? And if anybody I hold a conversation with is going to feel that confidence, but I'm not the type of person that's like, woo, it's Berto in the house. It's like, and there's people that are like that, bro. I don't know if you guys have friends like that, they're just kind of like a social butterfly, can just mesh with everyone. And they're just the first to, you know, spark up a conversation. Like, bro, I've even opened up to y'all, like, you know, something that I developed later in my career as a man is like cold approaching. I was never really fond of cold approaching, but not so much of out of nervousness, just out of just like, yo, I don't like to bother people. I kind of like to just, you know, do my own thing. But again, I think it's a very important skill that men should develop, even if it's something that you don't do often. But I think it's something that's going to help you get out of your comfort zone. But now I'm kind of yapping and going to a different direction. But I feel what you're saying, shorty.
Not typically, anyway. I mean, it's always the party people, you know, the funny people, the bubbly, super enthusiastic, and animated people. Those are the type of people that normally you would think you would gravitate towards. And not just in media, but in real life as well, which is something that I personally noticed after quite some time, after realizing my crippling social anxiety is what's stopping me from being able to communicate with other people and make friendships. So because of this, I have learned to adapt.
But one thing I have noticed, and even just her saying this, like, bro, I swear to God, YouTubers, anyone that is like an influencer / YouTuber have so much personality when talking to this fucking camera. But in real life, we be like reserved as fuck. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. Because just look, she's telling you she has crippling social anxiety, but it's just like she's coming off as bouncy and bubbly. You know, she's got her little aesthetic going on, and it's cool. It's cute to see, but it's like in the real world, she's literally saying she suffers with social anxiety, bro. I don't know what that is. It's like social media influencers are the least social motherfuckers, gang. And it's just a fact.
First meet me, I'm going to be super energetic and friendly. I'm trying to make jokes that probably won't land and probably aren't good, smiling and laughing a bunch even though I really hate my smile. And I'm going to reciprocate the kind of energy that you give me. Because I've become painfully aware of how people react sometimes when I'm in my default state, which is dull, bland, and boring. And a lot of times people tend to mistake it for dismissiveness or just downright being rude, which I can't even completely get mad at because things can get misinterpreted through translation. Think about texting, for example. For me personally, if you are not using 1,000 emojis and 1,000 exclamation marks in your text, I'm going to assume that you hate me and I'm never.
Yeah, that's why, and you know, one, brothers, I've told y'all millions of times, so I don't be doing the long talk through text, but if I'm gonna do some back and forth through text, I'm sending voice notes, gang, you know, or trying to get that phone call going right away because I don't want my, you know, dryness to be misinterpreted as like not being interested. It's just like, you know what I'm saying?
We're going to text you again because I feel like I am a nuisance to your existence. So it's the same deal with in-person communication, although it is a little bit easier to pick up, of course. But facial expression, body language, and verbal language is all going to play a role in how people perceive you and your attitude. And if you're kind of just dull, standing there like an NPC in the corner, people are probably going to assume that you don't want to talk to them, which in some cases I probably don't, I'm not even gonna lie. But in other cases, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to set myself up looking like an uninviting person. So I tend to animate myself a little bit more as people don't mistake me and my personality for just being apathetic or not caring. Now, I would not consider this being fake or phony, like some of you are probably thinking, right? Well, then you're not really being yourself. That's being fake. That's smiling in front of people's faces and, you know, turning behind their back and talking bad about them. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying that people can, you know, tend to act like that and try to be all buddy-buddy with you, and then the minute they turn around, like, oh my gosh, I hate that guy. But that's not so much what I'm describing here. That's definitely more of bringing out a certain persona for a certain occasion. As I was talking about in my video a while back about people not having personalities, so they use things like aesthetics and trends and even parts of their identity in order to cultivate their entire personality around it. You have many different personas or portrayals of yourself that you switch through that you may not even realize. Like the example I gave before, the way that you act around your parents is different how you act around your friends, and the way that you act around your friends is different how you act around strangers. There's certain levels of comfortability that you have with certain people, and obviously people are going to react differently to your different personas. You may be cool making dark humor jokes around your friends, but if you're talking to a stranger about how you just hid another body in your closet, there is always a likelihood that they may call the cops on you.
Yeah. Facts. And I know this all too well. Honestly, bro, I'm not gonna lie. And I like, if y'all were to hear some of the bullshit I be saying behind closed doors just on some joking shit, man, ooh, it'd be bad. Yeah, we got to keep it P, man. I just love dark humor, bro. I be talking shit. I'm not going to lie.
So these different personas are not necessarily bad, nor fake, nor phony. It is still a part of you and your personality, and is essential to navigating through social settings. So in the instance of the nonchalant persona, for those of us who have that as our default persona and personality, it can be a little bit difficult to know when it's appropriate to default to. Again, especially if you're trying to make friends or talk to people that you're new with. Because not only can people mistake this type of behavior for being dismissive, but they can also mistake it as just being depressed, and it concerns people. So for example, a personal example, at the college that I go to right now, I met my wonderful, amazing former history professor. So there's this thing that he does, or he used to do, called AMA hours, taken from the Reddit trend Ask Me Anything. He would set an hour for his students to come sit with him, you know, somewhere on campus, and sit down with him and talk to him and ask questions about
Why it sound like Professor trying to run game, man?
you know, school or work, or just about life in general, even if you're not one of his students anymore. And so he would set these hours, and a bunch of different students that he had or that he knows from his different classes, they would all gather around, we would all sit and chat. And me going to these little sit down talk hours allowed me to meet some really cool people, some of whom I've gotten more acquainted with over time. So again, from the very beginning of the
it wasn't one-on-one. All right.
Meets, when I learned about these, I would put on my I'm meeting you for the first time persona and be all bubbly and enthusiastic and joking and stuff. But as I got more acquainted with the people who were there and talked to them more, I guess I got pretty comfortable without actually realizing it. And slowly but surely my mask began to fade away because I ended up defaulting to my factory settings of the quiet kid in the corner of the class who doesn't talk. I just began talking less, being less animated, not smiling as much, and kind of focusing on my work because I would also do schoolwork while I was there. But I just ended up toning everything down without even realizing it. And I kid you not, almost every other day, my professor or one
What's wrong, bro? I don't think there's anybody that has gotten to know me where they at some point have not been very concerned about my mental state. Bro, the amount of times I get a, yo, Berto, are you good? What's wrong? What's going on? It's like crazy, bro. Because again, like a nigga just be chilling, bro. A nigga just be chilling. It's crazy. A nigga don't even be sad, but that's just the vibe a nigga give.
The students who were there would sit down like next to me, across from me, and go, "Hey, is everything all right?
Yep.
Are you good?" And I was so confused. I'm like, why is everybody asking me these questions all of a sudden? What changed? Like, I'm here and I'm fine. Like, what do you guys see that I'm not seeing? And I realized it's because I stopped being as enthusiastic as I used to be when I first met them. I just got comfortable. It's basically how I act around, my house and my family and stuff. Just dull and quiet and reserved. And then it dawned on me, and while they all started asking me around the same exact time, they literally thought that I just fell into a depression and didn't want to talk to anybody. When it's like, no, that's just me. That's just default me. I mean, some of those days I was actually depressed, but that's besides the point. Or another instance that is not as funny as entertaining as the last story. This actually made me a little bit sad for a while when it actually happened. But it happened my senior year of high school. Now, just for context, I was homeschooled for the majority of my life from, I think it was 4th grade to 11th grade. So
Really? Oh my God. I don't have anything against like homeschooling, but like I feel like high school is an experience that all kids should experience, like in person to some degree. I don't know. I just feel like that's such an important part of a nigga's character development.
I only had like a few years in public school when I was a child. We ended up homeschooling, and my very last year of high school, I went into public school. It was not the best idea. The mental torture that I went through because of myself and my own social anxiety was unbearable at times. I was this close to dropping out, and I am not even joking. That's a story for another day. But the point is, like, my social anxiety was already really bad at this point in time because I was not used to being around kids my age. In the homeschool that I was at, we didn't really do any extracurriculars. We didn't really go out much.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like high school is so important. Like if you're gonna go homeschool, like elementary and maybe even middle, I think like middle is pretty important for character development as well. But definitely, I feel like niggas need to go to high school though.
It really was just me inside around my siblings all the time. So, being thrust into the world, being around a bunch of cool and hip teenagers when I have no experience with that was not fun, you can imagine. So anyways, that was already making things difficult. And there was a specific instance where it was a certain class and certain girls that I was around. It was a weightlifting class. And for things like that, the extra classes, the electives, the elective classes, those obviously you can be around kids who are, part of all grades. So you have a bunch of freshmen and a bunch of sophomores, stuff like that. I actually think I was the only senior in my class period. I was around a bunch of like 14-year-old, 15-year-old girls. Like I said, at the very beginning, it was fine. It was chill. I'm sure I was really awkward with a lot of stuff, but I was trying my best to, once again, put on my bubbly, happy, fun, hi, I'm meeting you for the first time persona. And after a while, I think it just started to die down. Not even really because I was comfortable in that instance, but just more, I think I just stopped caring. But I did enjoy talking to the girls and, communicating with them. But towards the end of the semester, I could kind of feel them like drifting away, like them not really enjoying talking to me anymore, or like wanting to come up to me and have conversations with me. They would just kind of be in their own little clique group and have their conversations, and I was always kind of like over there outside of the conversation. Like in the very beginning, it hurt a little bit because I was like, oh dang, like, I thought we were chill, I thought we were talking, I thought we were cool. But then I had to think about it, and it's like, can I really blame them? I was not interesting, and I also was not giving them anything to work with. Whenever they tried to have a conversation with
Yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie, like I relate to this. Even now in my life, like something that I've noticed as an adult 29-year-old man is sometimes I gotta be like, damn, like my life is pretty fucking boring. That's something that I personally struggle with when it comes to, dating. I think something that is really dope is a guy that can bring a woman into their lives and kind of just show them a bunch of new things. I think that's a very strong quality that men should have in their lives. But me, bro, I'm so like laid back, homebody, and focused on my YouTube grind. It's like, bro, what do my days look like? Wake up early, go to the gym, record videos, edit videos, come up with new video ideas. And God forbid, when I was animating more, animate. I also help other YouTubers with their stuff. So help other content creators with their ideas, like, and then boom, it's fucking midnight. Like, that's my day every day. There's not a lot of room for like socializing and trying new things and going out into the big blue world. Like, again, I'm 29, so I've experienced shit. I've taken days off and have done shit, but bro, like my life's pretty fucking boring. And, sometimes that makes it hard for people to kind of enter my world because it's just like, oh, you don't go out? Oh, you don't do this? You don't participate in these? There's no social settings? Where are your friends? You don't have any friends? You know what I'm saying? All my friends are content creators. It's crazy, bro. Again, I know a lot of y'all want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Do this YouTube thing. And it comes in a whole bunch of different ways. And that's not to discourage y'all, but bro, the shit eats away at like your personal social life, gang.
I just like, I didn't know how to converse. They would also talk about a lot of stuff that I wasn't familiar with. I didn't know. They'd be like, oh, you know, like I went to the mall last week and then I got my nails done. They show your nails. I'm like, oh, did you go to the mall yet? Or like, you know, what's the last time you got your nails done? I'm like, I don't know. I don't. My family didn't take us anywhere. Wouldn't go out. It's like, what am I supposed to talk about with them? The age gap, I think, did a lot too, because like I said, I was like 17, 18, you know, I'm like legal adult. And then they're like 14, 13, 15, you know, just reaching those teen years. So they're doing all the fun, cool teen stuff. And I'm already out of that phase. So I just feel like there's nothing we can really relate on. Because of that, I just wasn't really good at conversing with them. So it was just very clear that after a while, they just didn't really like talking to me all that much because I wasn't really giving them anything to work with. And also, again, I was kind of defaulting to my more quiet, reserved personality. In other words, I wasn't fun. I wasn't very fun to talk to. I wasn't fun to be around. I really didn't add anything to the conversation or to the energy of the group. So they ended up kind of drifting away towards the end of the semester. That's why it frustrates me when people are like, I want a nonchalant friend, or I want to be nonchalant, or I want a nonchalant.
And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Nah, I fuck with what Shorty's talking about. I definitely resonate with it, man. You know, again, like there's other things that I know I bring to the table to keep things interesting. And, you know, again, I'm good. But I will say, just because of my prior experiences as a man, like I do want to get out more. And that's why I'm enjoying my streaming arc so much, because it's kind of like forcing me to try new things and go do IRL stuff, which linked in the description. Make sure you guys follow the Twitch. We just did our second IRL stream. The VODs should be coming up on this channel very soon, but it's just been dope, you know, getting outside of this room, you know what I'm saying? And going out into the real world, touching grass and making content in a different way, bro. Oh my God, I'm so cooked. Hey, I love it though, man. I love y'all, bro. This is what we do it for.
Boyfriend. It's like, do you really though, or are you just saying that? Because for most of us who act like that aren't doing it because we want to, or we're trying to be some cool, edgy, mysterious person. It's again simply because of our personality. Some people are just super, super introverted, not antisocial. That's not what that means. I know we tend to throw that phrase around a lot and be like, oh, I'm so antisocial. No, that's not what that means. It's actually not even completely what you think it is. It is a clinical personality disorder, and it goes way beyond just not liking interacting with people. Like there's actually a lot of aggressive and maladaptive traits that are associated with having this disorder, and it's actually found a lot within like psychopaths, sociopaths, and serial offenders. So no, you're not antisocial, and you don't want to be. But more specifically and more accurately, you would be just very introverted, or basically you just need a lot of time alone to recharge, and you might have like a very small social battery. So you can only be in social settings like parties or whatever for a short period of time. So a lot of us just may be like that, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being introverted. Or we just once again have very bad social anxiety, which that is not very good. So we tend to be not as super engaging or enthusiastic, because every time we literally try to say anything, our anxiety is ready to shut us down and tell us to shut up and stop being so weird because of the way that we said hi, how are you to the checkout lady. Now it keeps replaying in my head and I can't stop thinking about it for the rest of the day. And at that point, it just never makes you want to open your mouth again. You just never.
I'm not like that though. You know, again, I think I'm introverted, but I don't have social anxiety. Like I can talk to anyone, I can hold a conversation with anyone, I can be friends with anyone. It's just like my default setting is just chill.
Want to talk. Like for most people, again, when it comes to like the media version of being nonchalant, it's very different from somebody who genuinely has those traits and genuinely acts like that. And again, typically speaking, these are the people who people call boring and not fun. These are the party poopers. These are the joy kills. So it's just a little strange to me.
I'm definitely the first one. Hey man, we've been here for like 10 minutes already. Y'all ready to go? And everybody's looking at me like, nigga, we just got here. Like, that's definitely me, bro. Party pooper Berto.
Why all of a sudden we're flipping the switch and like, I want to be nonchalant. Do you really? Now, as for why I think it got so popular, it's getting so popular all of a sudden, my initial thought went towards the pendulum situation of humanity having this tendency to push ideals to opposite extremes as a way to create damage control or to find balance, which in theory sounds right, but in practice is not so effective. And with the rise of the internet, a lot of people have gotten really, really comfortable with oversharing, trauma dumping, giving out vital information that could possibly put them in danger, telling the whole world about their family drama. I made a whole video about this a while ago, but people subject people on the internet to information that just may not be a good idea to share in the first place. And a lot of people do this probably just because they want to seem more like raw and vulnerable or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you can share personal stories. That's fine. I mean, I just shared a couple of my own personal stories, but like, there's a limit, you know, you have a right to your privacy, and I feel like you should probably exercise that right. Everyone does not need to know absolutely everything about you, and a lot of people have been showing frustration for this. So I figured maybe this is a response to the massive oversharing issue that a lot of people are having on the internet. So maybe now people are turning to being more reserved and quiet about themselves to offset that. Again, that was theory one. But I'm starting to realize that's probably not what it is. People love being nosy, just in general. People love being in other people's business. They love hearing drama. They love gossiping. That's what makes things fun and interesting, right? Spilling the juicy tea. I mean, not too long ago, there was that huge, trending story on TikTok, the who TF did I marry girl. People were tuning tuning into that like it was a Netflix series. No. People like it when other people overshare and tell too much about their life. So I was like, probably not that most people anyway, are tired of people oversharing and then turning to being more reserved about themselves. That's probably not what it is. Then there's the theory of cringe culture and just not trying too hard. I talked about this too in a previous video, but everything is considered cringe nowadays. You can't even exist on the internet.
That's one thing that's lame as fuck though. Like the president that like you just caring about anything is fucking weird. It's like, yo, when did it become weird to like just care about normal things? Y'all be weird. That's weird. You don't give a fuck about nothing.
Without being called cringe. And this also just translates into not putting effort into anything or trying to be as lax as possible. Because being a tryhard is not cool. Being a tryhard is doing too much, and you don't want to seem like you're doing too much. You'll even see this with like lifestyle advice and dating advice.
That's one thing that, again, like, imagine being so fucking cool that you can't do nothing, man. It's like, what okay, you're cool, but like you can't chase your goals because you're trying too hard. You can't try new things because you're trying too hard. You can't do something that you know what I'm saying, get out your comfort zone because you're trying too hard. It's like, bro, who wants to be cool then? I wouldn't want to be cool. Stay weird, gang. Stay weird.
Text first. You don't want to seem like you're trying too hard. Let them be the ones to pursue you, not the other way around. You're too classy for that. You're too much of a high-value woman or a high-value man for that. Or even things like manifesting things in life to come to you. Like, oh, you don't have to work for anything. You just manifest. You say you have it, and there you have it. I have no idea how it makes logical sense to demonize putting effort into things and working hard for things. I always find it admirable when people are passionate and work hard for something that they truly love and put a lot of effort into pursuing something and making something happen. But not trying hard has basically become an ideal that surrounds the notion of, I don't have to put effort into things because they will come to me. Which, sure, in some cases, obviously, like, you should have standards, you should set standards for yourself, but everyone should put effort into something that they're passionate about or someone that they're passionate about. And you are not obligated to anything in life too. That's the concerning thing about that, because it's like, you now get this entitled mentality where it's like, I deserve this. It's like, well, do you though? No one is obligated, or you're not obligated to anything in life, okay? Nobody is. Which brings me to my third theory of the main character syndrome. I also made a video about this in the very wee days of my channel. But psychologically speaking, we tend to think that people care about us a lot more than they actually do. It's just in our nature, and because of this, we tend to be a little bit vain. Not narcissistic. Again, same deal with antisocial. That is a clinical personality disorder. It means kind of what you think it means, but there's also way more.
I literally just posted a TikTok about this. You guys can go check it out. It was a clip from a Twitch stream, but it's like, you do also have to recognize, like, you are not that important, gang. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, motherfuckers really suffer from main character syndrome. Like, nigga, you do realize that with or without you, that sun is going to come up tomorrow. Like, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but like, if that sun doesn't come up tomorrow with or without you, then we all got bigger issues. We all have a big issue. You know what I mean? But within that message, the point is, the moment you realize that there are no chosen ones, there are no like super special people. Because if there were those super special people, my nigga, you wouldn't have a chance. They're the chosen ones. They're the ones that were blessed to have the great lives and, have all the best parts of life, be pretty much handed to them. If that's exactly how the world works, then us regular folk, we never had a shot. But we know that's not the case. People work hard. People come from nothing and make it into something all the time. So you have to almost really start to appreciate the fact that you really ain't shit for real. None of us are. We're all a little weird. We're all a little bit different. And that's your edge. You use that to your advantage and you lock in. Because if everybody's kind of a nobody anyway, then who the fuck cares? You might as well do what you want to do. You might as well try hard and give it your best effort so you can win in life. You know what I mean? So that's a little mentality that I think a lot of us can kind of start adopting in our lives.
More to it. It's not just being vain and self-absorbed, because we are all that to a certain degree. And I'm not saying that some of these people may not actually have, narcissistic personality disorder. But again, that has to be like a clinical diagnosis. But yeah, we're all vain, we're all self-absorbed to some degree, and all of us think that people care so much about us more than they actually do. And the internet has inflated that ego amongst us all, right? So people who may want to act or be nonchalant probably think that people are going to look at them and go, oh wow, they're so mysterious, I want to learn more about them. No, that's not how that works. I can assure you, nobody cares about you nearly as much as you think they do. Like that 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying the chances are slim. The only way that would actually realistically happen, I feel like, is if you're conventionally attractive. If you're hot, then that makes sense. People are gonna want to go to you if you're super quiet or reserved because you look good. Even then, it's not really so much about your personality. It's about the fact that they look hot, so I want to talk to them. I'm not saying eventually they can't turn into interest of you and your actual personalities and hobbies, but I'm saying initially, like if there's a dude standing in the corner of the room, doesn't talk to anybody, but he's like really good looking, I can assure you people are gonna want to go up to him and talk to him just because he looks good. But other than that, no. Like nobody is gonna be staring at you thinking like, wow, they're so quiet and nonchalant. I think I'm gonna talk to them like they're so mysterious. Like, again, this is not anime.
They're not gonna be like, he's nonchalant. They're definitely going to be like, oh, he looks good or she looks good.
Not the anime universe. This is not actually how this happens. That only works in anime when you're the main character, okay? Now, I don't want to make it seem like I'm throwing nonchalant or reserved and quiet and shy people under the bus. I guess I kind of am, though. I'm not saying that a person who maybe has these traits cannot realistically make friends or talk to people or isn't an interesting person. That's just how I think about myself, of course, because my experiences, that's kind of what I've been picking up on. I'm just trying to say it's not as fantastical and cool as the media and other people try to portray on the internet. Again, for a lot of people, if we're being very realistic and 100%, the shy, quiet person is not really the type of people that other people gravitate towards, you know? They're normally looking for somebody to bring energy and fun to a room. I mean, that always has kind of been the thing, like especially in school, the shy kid that nobody talks to, they sit alone at lunch and stuff like that. Like, it's rare that people go to them and think, wow, they must be the life of the party. You normally want to be around the popular people, the fun people, the funny people. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't wish that I had that personality and that I could be that type of person. Going back to my senior year of high school, there was this one guy in my language arts class. His name was Denzel. He was like one of the chillest dudes you will ever meet. And every single time he entered a classroom, every single time, everyone was like, hey, yo, blah, 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 blah. That's not what they said, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, he brought the energy. He brought the thing that everybody wants. He was there and like, yeah, okay, now we're pumping, now the party started. And he was one of the few people like in that class that actually made me feel welcome, you know, not feel like an outsider. And I desperately wanted that personality. Like for the longest time, I really wished that I had that personality. And I tried to change. I actually really did. I tried to force myself to be a bit more outgoing, I guess, and more open, and make that my default personality instead of dull, dry, and drab. But it ended up not working, and then I just gave up after a while because I was like, it's not really worth it, like trying to change the entirety of who I am just so people can think I'm cool. If people drift away from me when I'm in my dull, drab mode, then I mean, so be it. They're just not for me, and that's fine. Like, again, I know a lot of people think that the energetic, enthusiastic people are the fun ones, but you can have a dull personality and still be likable. Take Moist Critical as a perfect example. I love his videos, millions of other people love his videos, and he is like one of the most dull, drab, monotone YouTubers out there. To be fair though, he's like actually funny and entertaining.
Yeah, the Moist Critical's like the way his mind works to say the things that he says just off the top of his brain, like that shit is crazy. You gotta Moist Critical's like if Moist Critical was black, I'd imagine he'd be lethal at the lunch table. The way that he would probably roast you into oblivion. Now that shit probably has to be studied, gang. He's probably like that now, even as a Caucasian. But I just feel like, you guys know what I'm talking about. The lunch table with the bros. When a nigga hit you with the, boy, I know you not talking. Oh, Lee, I could only imagine Moist Critical.
So I guess it's not right for me to try to compare myself to him or like, you know, to other type of dope people. But I'm just saying, like, he's an example of a person who's not like super animated and wow and energetic. People still enjoy him and his content.
But again, ironically enough, like, again, if you were to just judge this woman off of this video, you wouldn't be able to tell that she's nonchalant. And I feel like that probably goes for a lot of YouTubers, gang. I know I already said this, but it's like, bro, the irony is like most YouTubers in real life be like really reserved, but in their videos, they're like, woo, it's crazy.
But even the sheer fact that I change the way that I talk on camera and I animate myself on camera shows that I still have like that inkling of, I kind of wish I was a bit more approachable, I guess. I don't know. Because like, this is not me. This is another persona. This is my camera persona. This is my internet persona. But the way that I present myself on camera and on the internet, when I try to make jokes and try to be funny and stuff like that, that in itself is my understanding that that's more of what people like. Because the minute I turn this off, this goes away. And I know a lot of people probably feel the same way as me. I imagine that a lot of people feel like having a boring personality or just being dull and more quiet and reserved seems like an undesirable trait. And I imagine that there's a lot of people who, just like me, try to change that, you know? But honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, you'll find the right people. Again, you're not supposed to be compatible with everybody. If people are looking for other people who are energetic and bubbly like them, then that's fine. You know, you don't have to be friends with everybody. Everybody doesn't have to like you. If people don't like your dull personality, they're just not meant to be around you. That's it. But again, being more dull and quiet and reserved doesn't like make you like an undesirable person or somebody that no one wants to be around. It's just more likely that people who are on the opposite spectrum of that, really fun and bubbly, may not find you as interesting. Again, that's just been my experience where it's like having somebody the polar opposite of me. It's like, you know, I'm trying to match their energy, but then when I don't, it's like I'm just kind of boring and dull. So it really just depends on finding the right person who actually can either reciprocate that energy that you have or is just cool with that energy that you have, but it does not make you or your traits undesirable. And that's something that I kind of had to tell myself for the longest time, again, trying to change my personality. And I was just like, bro, it's not worth it, man. There is no point in deliberately changing your personality just because it's trendy in the moment. If we all had the same personality, then everything would be boring. You know, we need variety. And also, all personalities or personas have downsides. Being bright and bubbly kind of makes you the signature joker, you know, the signature energy bringer to a room, the signature party person. Everyone kind of leans on you for that energy, you know, and it can be a little bit draining. So there's downsides to everything, there's upsides to everything, and you just need to be around the right people who are chill with that default personality of yours, whether it be dull and quiet or bubbly and energetic, because some people might actually find that personality annoying too, like the super loud, eccentric type of person. I'm not gonna lie, like there are some people who I have met who are like that, and I'm just like, no, I don't really know.
Shut the fuck up, please.
We'll get along, because I'm just more quiet and reserved, like being loud all the time and just super energetic. It's too much for me. So again, it depends. Like sometimes you're just not compatible. Sometimes it's just not gonna work. And sometimes, once again, you have to change those personas to, you know, reciprocate energy or just socialize in the appropriate environment. So just be whatever seems fit at the time, but there's no need to change your like default personality simply because you think it's not interesting.
One thing that I was talking to my mom about actually semi-recently is like, it's okay to compromise certain parts of yourselves, you know, to socialize with people, especially, you know, whether it's friendships or relationships. Like sometimes you're going to have to compromise certain parts of yourselves so that you can be compatible with your partner or your friends. But the moment you feel like it's not compromising and you're literally having to change who you are as a person, that's where I kind of think you draw the line. And you really have to kind of like it's a thin line, man, because sometimes it's like, I'll just keep it on relationships. Sometimes it's like you got to show up for your partner in ways that you typically wouldn't be doing that on your own time. You know what I mean? Let's just say your partner loves animals and you're not the biggest animal person. So they like to go to stuff like zoos, you know what I mean? Like, or just go on, I don't know, fucking safari trips, whatever. This is off the top, but you get what I'm trying to say. And that's not really your speed. That would be an example of you compromising to make sure that, you know, your partner's having a good time and enjoying the things that they like to do. But on the flip side, if you're just like you just hate, I don't know, fucking doing certain things, you know what I'm saying? You hate certain things. It makes you feel very uncomfortable. And then your partner's like yearning for you to do it. And you feel like the only way you can get there is if you're literally change who you are as a person. That's where I would say kind of draw the line and be like, okay, maybe I'm just not compatible. You know, there's a difference between, you know, compromising and then having to change. And, you know, sometimes change can be good. But if you know deep down, like that's just not you, I would say that's where you probably should draw the line. But I think that's all for this video, man. You know, there's a couple of minutes left in there, but you know, I think we get the point, man. But W video, I'm actually gonna show her channel one more time if you guys want to go check her out, bro, because I think she's a W YouTuber and she's on the rise. 29,000 subscribers, man. I'll go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you guys do the same here on the Whereyouatberto channel. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Tap into the Twitch and Where You At family. Y'all know where to find me. I'm going.
Where you at, Berto?
I made this shit look too easy.